And I remember walking in my first day. I have my backpack, and like, this is the funniest thing, but I brought my ball with me because I was that kid who like brought a soccer ball everywhere. Okay. So like, I mean, I'm 13 years old. Like, I don't know how this works. When I was 7 years old, I have this very distinct memory of like, I wrote this note. I've decided what I want to do. I want to be a pro soccer player. I want to be the best in the world someday. Like, and I wrote all of this in a paper. They have pictures of it. I feel like this is wrong that boys can just walk into the league when they're ready and girls can't. That feels wrong to me. Sam, duh, obviously
Me?
you. Yes.
Hi everyone, welcome back to Friendlies. I'm Sam Mewis, and today I'm sitting down with a young player who has been incredibly influential on the field as a dynamic midfielder and a really insightful playmaker, both for the Portland Thorns and the US Women's National Team. But she's also changed the profile of the league, leading a wave of young players who first transformed the NWSL and now prepare to take on the world. It's Olivia Moultrie. Liv, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me. I'm so excited.
This episode of Friendlies is brought to you by Verizon, a proud supporter of the global game and the players who inspire us on and off the pitch. As an official sponsor of the FIFA World Cup 2026, Verizon is honored to help share the stories of the world's top players, including the incredible women who are changing the game at every level. Stay tuned for more on how Verizon can get you connected to the game we love. All right, everybody, here is Olivia Moultrie. Oh my gosh, I'm so excited you're here. It's going to be so fun to catch up. I know you're in the middle of NWSL preseason, but when this episode comes out, you're going to be in camp with the US Women's National Team at SheBelieves. Congratulations on the call up. I feel like you've got a lot of travel going on. Do you enjoy being on the road?
It's part of the job. Like, honestly, at the end of the day, I have just grown to like, hey, this is what I do. And I try to look at all the benefits of like, we get to see the world. We get to be in all these places. Like, we get to see fans in different places. So there is like so much positive about being on the road. But yeah, at a certain point, you're like, dang, I do kind of want like my routine and home. So that's what I miss because I'm like a very routine person. But yeah, there's a lot of fun about being on the road.
I know. I mean, I feel the same way. Like, we're so lucky that we get to travel and like experience all these new things, but there's just nothing like a home cooked meal and like your own bed and like my dogs.
So
I did see on your TikTok that you like to cook and that you like cook yourself these great home cooked meals. Have you made anything good lately?
I mix it up a lot.
Yeah.
I'm more of a like make a bunch of components and put together a bowl type of person. But like, honestly, my favorite food in the whole world is a yogurt bowl. Like, that might sound crazy to people. I get home and the first thing I want to do is like make my yogurt bowl.
Oh my gosh, I kind of love that. I actually have yogurt every day for breakfast and I just put like blueberries and granola in it.
Yeah, that's good.
Or do you do more than that?
Well,
like, do you approve?
I approve. I think it's a good starting place. I think we can add more variety to the yogurt bowls. Like, it's like a canvas, Sam. You can put whatever you want on it. So like, I started doing yogurt, and then I'll do like jam. Sometimes I'll even do peanut butter too, so it's like a PB&J vibe. Yum. I like Catalina Crunch on mine, berries, obviously. I make homemade granola, honey, like it's sometimes I'll do like dates and I'll even toast them in the pan with like cinnamon. So it can be anything you want it to be.
Oh my God, what? That's
so why they're
good.
So fun. Yeah.
Okay, I am like feeling really inspired by that, and I'm going to make like a fancy one. I might have to go to the grocery store. Okay, the other thing that I loved learning about you is that when you are home, you spend a lot of time with your sisters. I feel like, you know, maybe your like outward reputation because you're still so young and you're like always the young one on the roster, but you're actually the oldest of three girls. I'm wondering if at home you have like the qualities of the eldest child.
As many like eldest child shirts you can have that say something along the lines of like, I'm the boss or I was here first. I own those. But no, me and my sisters are super close, and yeah, they all live in Oregon, so I try to spend as much time with them as possible. And it's crazy because my middle sister is going to college in the fall, and I'm like, you're leaving? It's so weird.
Oh, that is so weird. Oh my gosh, that's crazy. Okay, so you do kind of identify as the oldest. Are you like organized and calm and like collected?
I am very type A, like list, keep things clean, keep things orderly. Like, yeah, that's just how I roll.
It's so funny because we've been recently joking on the podcast that me and my sister like got switched at birth, even though we're 18 months apart, because like I'm the youngest, but like I'm so like the oldest coded. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, no, that makes actually. Now that I'm thinking about it, I totally see that vibe.
Yeah. So it's funny because I feel like I like, everything you said that you are as the oldest, like really, I think describes me as well, but it's crazy because it's just not true. Okay. Anyways, let's get into some soccer stuff, your career. From a really young age, you and your parents prioritized your soccer career. You committed to play college at UNC at age 11, but quickly you were discussing other options, discussing moving to Europe. Eventually you moved to Portland at age 13. Obviously, Liv, your commitment to your development to become the best player that you could be has already paid off. Here you are with the US women's national team, the Thorns. And I know this is something you've probably spoken about so endlessly, so I don't want to like harp on it here, but I'm curious if you can kind of go back in your mind to those early conversations with your parents. What do you remember those being like at age 11, deciding to commit to college, at age 13, deciding to move to play soccer? What was that like for you as a kid?
I honestly, when I was 7 years old, I have this very distinct memory of like, I wrote this note and I left it like by my parents' bedside table or whatever. And it basically said like, Mom and Dad, like, I want to be a pro, like, I've decided what I want to do. I want to be a pro soccer player. I want to be the best in the world someday. Like, and I wrote all of this in a paper. They have pictures of it. People have this kind of idea that my parents drove everything and like that they decided what I was going to do and everything like that. But I was like the sole I was driving the car. At 7 years old, I was driving the car. And I just have always been a very goal-oriented person. My parents definitely raised me in a way that's like, okay, you pick something and you commit yourself to that thing. And it was like actionable items. Okay, you have a goal. How are you going to get to that goal? So like my parents were amazing at putting me in situations that allowed me to grow, older teams, play with boys, train with teams in Europe. And then obviously when I committed to UNC at the time, I was like, yeah, that's the next step, right? Like an elite college program who's won tons and tons and tons of championships. And I thought that that was where, yeah, I would just take the next steps in my career. And by the time I was like 12 years old and we had kind of gone to Europe a little bit, I was like, oh my gosh, I'm 6 years away from even going to college. I just feel like I can take so many more steps before that point. And then to have to play, because at the time it was like you play 4 years in school, and then you go to the draft and try to join the league. So when the European stuff got brought up, it was like, well, I can just do this so much faster. They don't have any of this in Europe. Like the system is obviously very different. The way they funnel people in from academies into just being a pro. I was like, that's what I want. Like that's my dream. Honestly, it came from, yes, I'm a super driven person. I obviously love what I do. So that was what was driving it. And then my parents being willing to like look at me and find people that they trusted to also like look at me as a soccer player and be like, no, she actually is good enough for this thing. Like this isn't a pipe dream where you're like, you're going to ruin this kid's life. Like this is for real, basically, like they had to vet that for sure because I mean, I'm 11, so like obviously I'm excited about everything, but at the same time, my parents had to be like, is this a responsible decision for our kid? And then when the Nike contract and Portland came around, it was like, okay, you have a full ride college scholarship, but this Nike money is equaling or more than that. Right. So it's like at this point, for my parents, you've guaranteed your kid the same amount. Obviously, the education piece is different, but like she wants to follow her dream. And so, yeah, Portland became an option, and to stay in America, obviously, was ideal. Train with a team that had, Becky came later, but, Becky, Tobin, Lindsay, Sink, like, what better environment could I have found for myself to, basically prepare me and propel me to where I am now?
I mean, hearing you talk about it, like, one, I relate so much to you saying, like, I was 7 years old, I knew what I wanted to do, I wrote it down, everything I did was to do this thing. And I actually really love hearing you say that it was all driven by you. I actually, and I'm going to call you like a child prodigy, but like I wasn't, that successful that early on in that same way. And even I got questions a lot through my career of like, did your parents put pressure on you? Did they because Christy and I, my sister, both, ended up making the national team. So I think people were like, your parents must have like been crazy and like made you do this. And Christy and I actually never felt that way at all. So I like love hearing that you had a similar situation where it was really driven by you. And yes, I'm sure they put you in wonderful situations and gave you great opportunities, and supported you, but it really all along was exactly what you wanted. I felt like I had like a million other things to comment on, but it was really fun to hear you talk about that. Obviously, you mentioned the opportunity to go to Portland comes up. Your family moves there to be with you. I think what I'm curious about is why Portland? Like, I was playing in the league at that time. I kind of have my own take on how exceptional of an organization it was. Playing in that stadium was so much fun. But for you at that age and that opportunity, why the Thorns? Why was that the right place for you as a young player?
At the time, we were kind of going back and forth between genuinely moving to Europe. Like, my family had looked into getting visas, like how could we, because obviously at the time, if FIFA found out that you moved for soccer reasons, like that could shut everything down. So we like had to find all these ways through my mom's job to like genuinely look at options of moving to Europe so that I could play at Lyon, like Lyon's academy, and basically try to work my way up to being a pro there. So we didn't necessarily have like a timeline, but I knew it could happen faster. And so long story short, my agent, Spencer Wadsworth, like he knew the GM of Portland at the time. They had a lot of dialogue because he obviously had players playing in Portland. And basically it just got brought up. Like, yeah, I have this kid. She's going to like go to Europe because she doesn't want to wait and all of this stuff. And he was basically like, no, we don't want her to leave. So that's when the Portland opportunity basically presented itself as like, no, wait, like at the time they wanted to get the homegrown rule passed in the NWSL so that players could come through the academies, they could sign them. They didn't have to wait to go through the draft. So he basically was like, she can come train with the team, do everything that the team does. By the time that she's ready in the next like 2 years or whatever, we probably thought it was going to be more around 16. Obviously, it just happened faster than that. That we will be able to get this rule passed and she'll be able to play for the Thorns. So that was basically how it was presented to us. Obviously, COVID then ended up happening. So like it kind of slowed all of that down. And then, yeah, you kind of know the rest of the history, but that's how the Portland like situation came to be.
All so fascinating that, you know, the league was obviously in a really different place. And I mean, you're telling me things I had no idea about. You can't move to Europe for soccer reasons, all this stuff I wasn't aware of that were rules. There's just one thing, and I promise I might have like one or two more questions about this, and then I promise we're going to move on.
No, it's okay.
The Nike contract, I remember hearing about you getting this, and, you know, that was like so incredible, and I was like, wow, this girl is going to be so good. She must already be so good. Could you even like comprehend what that meant? Or did you equate it to like, that could pay for my college education someday if I decide not to go to college before I become a pro?
Yeah, honestly, for me at the time, I was so tunnel vision on like, I just want to play. I want to get better. I want to do this faster. Like, I'm ready for more, that I don't think now I step back and look at it and I'm like, that was insane. Like, that was crazy what happened. But like for me, that's all I had ever known. Like, I just grew up in a way that was like, if you think you can freaking achieve something and you go after it every day, like, and then you're getting reinforced by the people that you trust the most in the world that like, yes, this is possible. We're putting you in these different situations and you are coming out of them every time like better, growing more. So you're ready for more, you know? So like, I just kind of grew up in that environment. And so I think at the time, yes, there was definitely a piece of me that's like, okay, if I give this up, like I'm never getting it back. So I did understand that aspect of it of like, okay, if I don't do this, like I'm never going to college to play soccer, right? Like I'm giving up that piece of this thing that I forever thought I would take part in, like competing for an NCAA championship. And so that was like a little sad to me, just seeing kind of the camaraderie and what that made people, just like the college experience, being a college athlete, like that teaches you so much. And I was like, dang, okay, that's like a big thing to leave behind. But on the other side of it, I'm going to be a Nike athlete. I'm going to get to go train with arguably one of the best women's teams in the entire world and put myself in an environment where like, I know I will get better. I know I can grow. Like it'll be hard, but thinking about what could happen, like what was possible in that situation, the positivity of that was what fueled me. Like, yes, there's so many things that like could have gone wrong, but all I could see were the positive outcomes. I was like, holy crap, like I want to be the best in the world someday. I need to put myself around people who have done everything that I want to do, competed in World Cups, competed in Olympics, like won at the highest level. I want to go learn from that because I want to do that someday. So that's really like where it was coming from for me. Like that was my mind frame around it all. And it was a little scary. But
I was literally just about to be like, were you ever scared? Like it's a lot. It's like it's a big kind of responsibility and a lot of pressure. Were you ever scared?
I remember my first day, like when we actually moved, I was like, holy crap, like this is happening. And I was excited, but I was like, this is wild. So my dad and I went up early because my mom and sisters had to like finish selling our house in California and moving up. So we stayed in a hotel for the first like 3 weeks of my first preseason in Portland in 2019. And I remember walking in my first day. I had my backpack and like, this is the funniest thing, but I brought my ball with me because I was that kid who like brought a soccer ball everywhere. Okay. So like, I mean, I'm 13 years old. Like, I don't know how this works. Okay. I really have no idea what I'm getting into right now. I'm just thinking like I'm going to training. And so anyways, like we have all our meetings. I'm meeting everyone. Everyone's kind of giving me these like, what's going on looks. And not that people weren't like outwardly not like they were nice and they were polite, but you could tell everyone was like, what's going on right now? And so for the first like 6 months, it was really like, just get me to the field and let me basically earn everyone's respect. Let me like go to work, put my head down. You could tell there definitely were people that were not a fan of what was happening, like very clearly. So I had to deal with that too. And it's weird to think about like, she's just a 13-year-old kid, but people were pissed about it.
Why do you think?
I mean, I can't speak for, those people, but part of me is just like, obviously it had never happened before. So it's just this weird unknown. I think also people probably were just looking at me as a kid and over the first 6 months realized that like, oh no, she actually like can play at this level. Like she's not coming in and ruining the level of our training session. Like I think there was probably some hesitancy there because obviously not everyone would be able to step in and it's like ready for that. And not to say that I was like 100% ready to play in NWSL games by any means, right? Like I needed that to set me up for when I finally made my debut at 15. But on the other hand, like I didn't not belong. Like I was able to step in and put my head down and go to work and like be a part of the team.
That's what I always heard about you was that you were, competing in Thorns trainings and that you especially technically belonged there, that you were technically better than some of your team. I still see you as such an incredibly technically gifted player whom I imagine now that I know you a little bit better, you worked so hard at it your entire life. Just to wrap all of this up, is there anything you wish you knew going into the last 7-year journey to where you are now, or would you kind of do it exactly the same with the same mindset?
Honestly, in terms of how I approached it, like that is something I'll forever be very proud of myself for. Like when I look back at kind of how hard it was sometimes, just in terms of like feeling like an outsider, but like trying to work my way in that whole time. And kind of to some extent, obviously, the Thorns were incredible, right? Like they really helped me get to where I am. And there was so much positive about it. But at the same time, you still had a coach dealing with like working a kid into this environment. And so at times I felt very held back with like, no, let me in, let me do more, and of course that's kind of just my personality. I'm not going to say like I knew exactly how it should have happened or anything like that. But yeah, I could just tell that like there was some animosity and things that were it just made me grow up. It made me grow up really fast. I honestly don't think I would change how I approach the situation. I think it really just shaped me into who I am today. But like, yeah, maybe it would have been nice to know really like what I was walking into, because you can't ever really know what the NWSL is till you're in it. Like I always tell people that. It doesn't matter if you're 25 or if you're 17. Like it just, you really don't know till you're in it. And so it's like, at the end of the day, what I went through and having to learn all those things, like that made me a better player. It made me a better person. Like it helped me mature and grow up in this world and in this environment. So I almost wouldn't change anything because the hard just made me better.
I mean, you seem like somebody who could withstand a crazy amount of pressure and scrutiny. And to be honest with you, and I know you already know this, but it's like, that's what being on the national team is. That's what being at a World Cup and an Olympics is like having everybody's eyes on you and still performing. And I think you're somebody who's actually really uniquely prepared to do that. So I'm very excited to keep watching you. I do want to fast forward, present day. You're with the Thorns. You're preparing for your 6th season with the club. You've had so much success there already, setting records, helping them win the championship in 2022. You've extended your contract twice. This past season, I feel like presented a new challenge for the club as a whole. It was the first season without veteran leaders like Becky Sauerbrunn, Christine Sinclair. A lot of new rookies came in. How did you see that change as an opportunity for you to step up as a leader?
I feel like every year for me in Portland has like brought a little bit more responsibility, and right, I've been like grabbing at that. I'm like, more minutes, more game time, like give me more, right? That's just how I am. But it was really cool to then be on, I think, the youngest team in the league on average. So like it was so weird for me because I had right been on a team with all of these veterans and like so much experience to then be like, boom, 180. But I think it was really good for me. I think it allowed me not only as a person and like kind of a leadership role in the team, but really just like on the field. And I'm a firm believer in like the actions are the most important thing, right? Like what I go do on the field is the greatest sense of leadership that I can give, because I might not still know everything. I might have played in the league longer than some of my teammates, but like I'm still 19 years old or 20 years old. So like I don't know the answer to everything, but I do know that like I can put my head down and go to work and be an example in that way. And obviously kind of the freedom that I felt on the field last year, I think that manifested itself and was pretty obvious to people. And so just being able to grow into that as well, like my teammates trusting me in that way, feeling like I kind of had to be the center of our team in a different way. But like at the end of the day, that's what I want, right? I want to be that player, the player that teams are worried about, that creates offense, that scores goals, that gets assists. So like it just felt like a really good step in my career and kind of like bringing me into really the player that I want to be.
Well, I mean, the year went very well. You led the team in goals. You played every single game. You set a new record for goals scored by a teenager in the NWSL. You made the best 11. You were named Supporters Player of the Year. And as I was reading through this, I was really curious, and I'm even more curious now that I know you a little bit better. Did any one of your accomplishments in 2025 mean more to you than everything else?
Dang, that's so hard. I don't think meant more. There was something super special about Supporters Player of the Year, just like being kind of brought into this city, Portland, at such a young age. At first, I kind of felt like I had to fight for them to accept me. But then when I really got out there and they got to know me and kind of see me on the field, and yeah, just at the same time that I was falling in love with Portland, I'm hoping that Portland was falling in love with Olivia as a player. And so just feeling that like come together last year, and just like obviously our fans are incredible, but feeling that backing specifically of like,
Yeah.
no, this is our kid. And she's been here since she's 13 and she could be here for a long freaking time. And I extended my contract. So like I just literally got chills thinking about it. So like all of that coming together at that time was like really special to me. So yeah, it's like it was more than just the soccer. So that's kind of cool because a lot of these things are obviously soccer accolades that I want and I'm striving for, but having the sentimental value of that was like particularly cool.
That is really sweet. And I kind of hoped that that would be your answer. I think it makes it even more special to hear you say that, you know, Portland Thorns fans are so special. And like, I've always played in that stadium for another team, and I have had so much respect for the fans and the way they show up. But even hearing you say like you kind of had to earn their love and respect almost makes their appreciation more special. Like I feel like Boston fans are like that, where they're not just going to love you because you're there. You have to like warm them up a little bit. You have to like really ingratiate yourself. And so when they do love you, like there's just nothing better because you know you really earned it. So I like loved that answer. You mentioned this, but in November you signed a contract extension through 2029, which doesn't really seem surprising considering the success and the growth that you've had at this club. It seems like such a great place for you to continue growing as a player. You are facing the loss of another leader. Captain Sam Coffey has gone to Man City, plus the team is looking for a new head coach. I feel like my question is, what is consistent about Portland as a club that has helped you decide to stay amidst all of this other change?
This is a really good question because there has actually been so much change since I've been in Portland. Like, I think we've had 3 or 4 head coaches over the last 5 years. Like, it's been crazy. But they're obviously number one, just like the environment created in Providence Park and getting to play for that, like, that's special. And you really, like, I'm biased, obviously, but feel like I have not felt any environment close to that at the club level. And I get that week in and week out, right? Every time we're at a home game, boom, I know that that's like guaranteed. And that's something that I thought about just being a pro, right? Like you have your fans, the people that show up for you every game. So 100% that has been like a big part of it. There has been another part of just like the club's commitment to me personally. Like, yes, there have been tons of ups and downs, but like being willing to bring me in when I was 13, take that risk that no one else was really open to at the time, and just believe in me every step of the way to the point where they want the extension. Like they're sitting me down and telling me that they want me to be the face of the franchise. Like they want me here for the start of my career to the end of my career. So like on a personal level, like that's extremely, extremely special to me and like means so much. So I have, as they have committed to me, I have felt that want to commit back to them. Cause like there's no guarantee of anything in this world, honestly, and especially in this league. So when I have those two things that I get to experience every single day, that's a pretty special thing. And yes, there are like things about other places that are really enticing and great. And it's not to say that I couldn't go grow in another environment as well, but knowing that like for these really key times in my career for the next few years when I still like want to grow, want to challenge myself at all times, I felt like Portland was really the place that I could do that with the support and the backing of like really such an incredible organization.
Amazing answer. I'm really happy for you. So before you and the Thorns start your season for 2026, you're going to be playing with the US in the SheBelieves tournament, which will be going on when this interview comes out. You made your debut for the U.S. Women's National Team at age 18, not too long after you scored a brace, making you only the third woman in the history of the team to score a brace at age 18. The other two women are Cindy Parlow-Cohn and Mia Hamm.
Well, that's not obviously bad company.
Right? So this is actually my question is, I grew up idolizing Cindy and Mia, but you're like, I guess almost 15 years younger than me. So now I'm like, who were your national team role models when you were growing up?
Sam, duh, obviously
me?
You. Yes. You were 100% like as a fellow midfielder watching you, like I was modeling so much of like what I was learning in my game, watching you with the courage, watching you with the national team, like seriously loved it so much. Like I know I'm like, oh my gosh, if I ever get the chance to like play against her or with her, that would be incredible. So yes, absolutely you. I feel like that whole 2019 World Cup squad in a lot of ways just like obviously was very inspiring. Like everything you guys did, fighting for equal pay. Then you went and freaking won it while you were doing all of that. So like you want to talk about pressure and external things. Like you guys went and did that. And I was watching that from the outside, and genuinely that's what gave me a lot of kind of the confidence to like take the next step in my life and be like, no, they're fighting for something that's important to them. Like, I feel like this is wrong that boys can just walk into the league when they're ready and girls can't. That feels wrong to me. And so watching you guys do that 100% motivated me to like take the next step in my life and in my career. But yeah, you were definitely a big part of that for me.
Well, that seemed like I was fishing for a compliment, but I do really appreciate that answer. I still feel like my career got cut kind of short, and I would have loved more opportunities to play with players like you and to go to more world tournaments. And I feel, in your words, like inspire people to go outside their comfort zone. So it actually means a lot to me to hear you say that. I also have this kind of feeling about you, Liv, that, and I don't say this expression lightly, but I call a few people in our circles like football purists. I like usually save that expression for people like Lindsay Heaps and Tobin Heath, who just live and breathe the game. And I'm wondering if you like identify that way. Like, would you think of yourself in that category of like a football purist who's just like whole life is the game?
Sam, are you kidding me? That's like the best compliment you can give me, genuinely. Like,
wow.
For me, I think about it a lot, and I'm like, I started really young, but let's say I have another like 15 to like, 15-ish years, right? I'm like thinking about, I'm like, that's insane. But like,
yeah, it's a long
that's
time.
How long I get till it's, if everything goes great, right? Till it's over. And I'm like, I love this thing. Like every year it's like, people are like worried I'd get burnt out, or I'm like, I love it more every time that I do it. And like chasing something and wanting to win at that, like I just feel so unfinished in my career, even though so much has happened. It's just like, yeah, I eat, sleep, and breathe it. Like, I wake up, I go to training. Everything I do is prepping me for that. I get home, I'm prepping for the next day, recovery. Do I need to do more? Like, I have to make people slow me down and like try to live in the moment sometimes, because I am so solely focused on the things that I want to accomplish while I have the time to do it. I'm like, let me take the time that I get to do this and never take like the fact that I have been very healthy throughout my career, like take that for granted. I'm like, let me enjoy every single moment I can to the absolute fullest, because when it's over, it's over. Like, it'll never be the same.
What do you love so much about the game?
Number one, I love the like competitive aspect of it. You probably have gathered that from this conversation. But I love just like good football. Like, I watch all these games, and I feel like the women's game is really trending in this direction. I felt like this a lot in December camp specifically. Like, when we're out there playing and knocking it around and then scoring these goals off of like 18 passes and long buildups, I'm like, this is my freaking dream. Like, this is what I grew up watching Barcelona do this, and Man City, and like these teams where you're like, oh my gosh, I hope to experience that someday. And then trying to make that your own reality, to me, is so fun. Like, the challenge of creating that. And when we bring people into the Thorns, I'm like, I want to create this environment that we all want the same thing. We want to win and do whatever it takes, but we want to have fun while we're doing it. We want to make it look good. Like, this is what we've watched growing up. This is what the fans come to watch us and see us do. Like, the aspect of that, you can tell I like literally could keep talking about it. Like, it excites me.
I know, I can tell. I love it. So I'm actually excited to ask this next question because, you know, I have already said this, but I just see you as this really technical midfielder. But you also just, you know, clearly really have a great tactical understanding and appreciation for the game. We've seen you play midfield and forward for the U.S. Women's National Team, but you're always involved in playmaking. You're active in front of goal. I've talked about the braces that you've scored. How would you describe your ideal position, and then like tactically what you want your role to be when you're playing with the national team?
This is good. So I think I've always, for a while, like looked at myself as a 10, right? Or just like an attacking midfielder. I feel like at my core, that's kind of the things that I come back to, like dangerous in attack, threatening both for myself and creating situations for my teammates. I enjoy pressing, so like being higher up on the field for that defensively. But with the national team and kind of experiencing this inverted winger, creating those overloads in midfield, even the diamond a little bit, like I'm a huge fan of just finding myself in pockets in the midfield where I can like face up and make plays. So that doesn't necessarily have to be the 10. I mean, in December, it was an inverted 7, and that suits me just fine. Like,
worked great.
I feel like the versatility for me as a player is just a good thing for my career, being able to be in different situations. And I feel like that makes me better and makes me more dangerous in all areas. But yeah, I think at my core, it's like, can I basically get faced up in between the lines and wreak havoc on the other team's defense? Like, that's really what I think of myself as a player.
I love that. And I love, you know, watching you in those positions. You also, you know, of course, you're fighting for your own spot and your own minutes, but you have such incredible teammates to learn from. I remember, you know, especially in the days leading up to the 2019 World Cup, fighting with Lindsay Heaps and Rose Lavelle for time, and just knowing every day in training, like, I have to be my very best or else I won't get to play. And I think that that's just such a valuable, like, I still feel like we had that going on in so many positions. And that's why we won, is because you had to perform your best on every single given day. The competition internally just requires so much from you. So as you're going into She Believes, you're starting to think about, obviously, Emma Hayes has been saying the roster is kind of starting to whittle down. We're trying to call in players who are going to be in contention for 2027. What does a tournament like She Believes do for the team? And is there anything you think you guys will be working on in this tournament that really specifically is going to prepare you for the World Cup?
This tournament, there's a huge sense of pride, right? Like, the US hosts this, they've created this thing. And for me, as a player who's, you know, just building their way into this, I look at the fact that, like, for me, my expectation is the US wins this, right? Like, that's how I view this tournament. And so I think it definitely creates a sense of like team camaraderie of like, we all may be a little bit younger and like a lot of us are newer to this environment, but that doesn't change the history of the US women's national team. Like, we're winners, and that's exactly what we're trying to get back to in 2027. So I feel like it definitely creates this sense of like pride and camaraderie and like unity of, no, we got to go freaking get the job done. And it doesn't matter who's in what position, who starts, who comes off the bench, who support, like, we just got to get the job done, whatever it takes. And so there is a cool aspect of just like honoring the crest and the history of it. So that's been enormous for me. And I feel like definitely as I've talked to younger players coming in, they feel the same way. And then I think tactically, we're really just refining kind of all of these layers, because I know Emma talks about it a lot, like adding layers each camp. Can we basically just build off of the things that we have been doing and we're getting better at, and then they just keep adding detail? But now I kind of feel like we're whittling down to like, this is how we're going to play. We're really just trying to perfect these things and create excellence. And so that's another thing that's super fun for me, because that's how I live my life, you know, is like whatever I decide, I'm striving for excellence in that thing. And so feeling that from Emma, feeling that from Denise and the coaching staff, like, that's cool. And it's a cool environment to be a part of. So obviously just trying to soak in every moment too.
Yeah. I mean, hearing you talk about, you know, kind of that tournament mentality of, it doesn't matter who's on the field. It doesn't matter. Nothing matters. We need to be winners here. Like, I love hearing that from you. And I do get that sense from a lot of your kind of generation of player. And this is my last question for you, Liv, but it's like, when I hear you guys speak about the national team with such respect and with such like reverence for it, I said this actually recently to Sam Coffey on an interview. It makes me, as a former national team player, feel like the team is being passed down to people who really care and people who are going to uphold what it means to like play for that crest and like play for everything that team represents. And so I like really personally appreciate the way you talk about this team. And my last question is, when you project forward and you imagine 18 months from now, I'm sure you're envisioning yourself on the World Cup roster, taking the field in Brazil. What kind of emotion does that make you feel?
Oh my gosh, it makes me so excited to think about. Like, I know that we are still like a little bit of time away from that. And obviously, like, I've got to show up every day and be the best version of myself, just like you said, to put myself in position to be there. But thinking about that, like, I'm a very make a plan, execute the plan. But like, that's a dream. That's a childhood dream to compete at a World Cup. Like, that is something that I want more than anything. And so being able to like fight for that, and then, like you said, just respecting so much the history of this team, seeing what you guys fought for and what you kind of have put us in position to do. Like, there is 100% for me this like expectation to uphold what the crest means. And like, I said it before, but put ourselves back at the top. Like, I know that's where we believe we should be, and that is absolutely the past of this organization and this country. And like, I want us to be able to like regain that. Like, we've been there, and I want us to like climb our way back there and freaking take hold of it again. So like, thinking about that journey with these people, everyone getting called into camp, like, I feel like that's what Emma has been building us towards. But 100% for me, having watched it as a kid, then being a pro, getting to experience playing and being on the field with a lot of you, and then thinking about being able to do what you guys were able to do, like, that is, oh my gosh, it gives me chills. Like, I have goosebumps. It's so cool to think about, and it means so much more than like, oh, I get to compete and try to win a game. Like, it just means so much more than just that, you know?
Yeah, I do know. I like honestly kind of have butterflies like thinking about it for you. It's just so like tangible how much you care, and it makes me really, really happy that you're in these positions and getting these opportunities. I feel like I learned so much about you, and I'm just so excited for you, Liv. This was so fun to get to know you better, and I'm really grateful that you took the time to come on.
Yay, thank you so much. I literally have loved this podcast forever. I'm so happy I got to come on here with you. You're so fun to talk to, so thanks.
Oh my God, I'm so happy. Thank you so much. Thank you all so much for listening. I have heard so much about Olivia and her situation over the years, but I've only interacted with her a handful of times. So it was really fun for me to get to know her a little bit better and recognize that She really just loves this game so much. She wants to be the best that she can be, and she's willing to do whatever it takes to try to make that happen. Kind of reminds me of myself. So I have a lot of respect for her, and I really enjoy watching her play. I think she's been great this week at She Believes. So I'm rooting for her to make the World Cup roster next summer. Before we let you all go, we do have our linked up voicemail of the week presented by Verizon. Each week we want to hear from you. So call and leave us a voicemail at 855-611-4050, and you could be featured on a future episode of Friendlies. Here's our caller this week.
Hey, this is Abel. I'm calling from Atlanta, Georgia. Listening to your podcast. You're doing a really good job. My team is Arsenal and Arsenal women football team. I just have a quick question. What is next for women football? Like, how do you see it from 10 years from now or 20 years from now? Do you see the direction you go? Do you see change? What do you think about that? Thank you.
Hey, Bill, thank you so much for calling. This is such a great question. And I think sometimes we get so caught up in like what's going on right now that we kind of forget to dream and imagine what things could be like moving forward. Something I've been reflecting on a lot lately is how women's soccer does not have to follow the same roadmap as men's soccer. In fact, it probably shouldn't. I think there's so much more space to be creative and find solutions that work for our athletes and our fans, as opposed to just using kind of cookie cutter solutions that may or may not have worked in men's soccer or even other sports leagues. I feel like in that way, we as women's soccer feel more like a startup. Like there's just more opportunity to be creative, and other sports leagues that have been around for much, much longer just feel more established in a way that kind of limits their ability to problem solve. I think when I project us forward 10 or 20 years, I want to see more abundance, more, the problems that we talk about for so long have been problems of not having enough. We're just kind of getting over this phase of feeling like, things in the league are precarious and how do we protect the business? We kind of have to be careful or else the league will fold. We're getting through that now. I feel like the league is in such a great place. I feel like the national team players have such incredible opportunities, especially here in the US. So as we think ahead, it's like, let's see some bidding wars for players. Let's see the salary cap increase. How about we see more competition to become the next expansion city? I think problems of abundance are a sign that women's soccer is really growing and really finding success. There's always going to be problems in leagues, but more along the lines of like, we have so much, we have to figure out what to do with it, is something that I hope we're seeing and feeling in the next 10 and 20 years. I loved that question so much, Bill. It really made me think. So keep them coming, everybody. That was our linked up voicemail of the week presented by Verizon. If you want to join us for this segment, the banana phone is open. Give me a call at 855-611-4050. Just leave a message, ask me a question, and you could be the next featured listener thanks to our friends at Verizon. Next week, everybody, is suddenly already NWSL opening weekend. The first game is Friday night between the Washington Spirit and the Portland Thorns. And to kick off the season, we spoke with Croy Bethune all about her recent move to the Kansas City Current. That episode is going to drop on this show, Friendlies, on Thursday. We'll also have Good Vibes as usual on Tuesday. And you can tune into our live show in Boston on Tuesday night as we preview the Boston Legacy and their inaugural season as an NWSL expansion team. There is so much happening. And if you haven't heard me say it already, we also have brand new TWG merch right in time for She Believes this week and the NWSL season. You can rep the women's game out in the wild. So go check it out on the TWG shop. We'll put a link in the show notes. Thank you all so much for listening. If you haven't already, please make sure you're subscribed to this YouTube channel or podcast feed. It really, really helps us. Also, feel free to check out our newsletter. Head to the link in our bio. You'll get an email delivered to your inbox every Tuesday with all the news from around the women's soccer world. It's a really great resource. Thank you all for being here, and we'll see you soon.